They say you're supposed to eat the mic. I don't know if that's close enough or not. Put it up here. Okay. No, that's not it, but well, hey, I want to just welcome everybody to this event. My name's Andrew Lietzow, for anybody that doesn't know that in the room. I'm honored to see all you here. And now I got to get attention. Let me start that again. My name is Andrew Lietzow. I'm the Executive Director of the Iowa Landlord Association and Two Rivers REIA of Central Iowa. And I wanted to welcome you all to this event. It's a fairly small event still, but we had a pretty decent turnout so far. It looks good, doesn't it? Give yourself a round of applause for doing it. If it was on a Saturday, we could have said, well, you could have stayed in bed. But most of you in the rental property owner and management business don't do a lot of staying in bed during the week, do you? We hit the ground running. And I don't want to take too much of your time on trivial stuff, so I'm going to do what I'd call an eagle's eye overview of the state of the association. I need some attention here, though, John. Keep him under control over there, will you? He can get out of line a little. But some of you know James Allen is our interim president, and we need a guy like that because I'm not your president. I'm more of a guy that is the water carrier at the football game. Or maybe I'm sometimes a coach, but I'm definitely not your president or your vice president or your event committee leaders, and we'll get into that in a second, but I wanted to take just a moment to give you a brief overview of what's been happening, because there's a transition going on here. Some of you have noticed there's a few changes since David Sollenberger handed over the reins. And I just want to cover a few things to make sure you feel like the plane is taken off and it's not immediately going to crash. Okay? So hang with me for a second. How's it doing on advancing? Does it advance? Oh, it does. Okay. Good. Okay, so for instance, up here at the top where it says January 1st to November 15th. November 15th is tomorrow, right? So we're a day early. But we started the year with approximately 260 members. We're currently just over 300, and that's about a 15% increase. Now, some of your friends are not renewing, but that's happened before. In fact, one of the things that happens in associations is that one of the things you really can't control is whether people are going to renew. But what you can do is try to provide maximum benefits all the time, and you hope that they will, because really, renewals and members are the foundation of the house. And the walls that get built up are the current members that are actively participating. You're all activists here, by the way. You know, thank you for being activists, because you make the difference in an association. Okay, the active members. Everybody else is just kind of along for the ride, reaping the benefits. But it's the activists that make things happen. So right now, of the 300 plus members, how many we have? About 55 to 60 today. It's about 20% of the membership is active. Okay, that's not unusual. All right. Next thing I want to mention is the Senate districts. We started the year with approximately 24 of the Iowa Senate districts represented by our membership, which basically meant that we're missing 26 of them. Okay. Now, we didn't really have a way to get a handle on that at first of the year, because the membership database, which I think David will agree, didn't support that. So that's one thing that we wanted to do right away, is in order to be more effective on the Hill, we've got to have more constituent representation. We've got to have more representatives in the Senate and in the House that even know we're out here. Okay? So we had about a 33% so far this year in the Senate, and about 20% in the House. Okay? Now, every time that a new member registers, if they're from a distance, we ring a bell if they're, and we say hallelujah if they're not currently represented. Okay? Now, that's kind of boring because I can see I got Nancy yawning over there, so I'm going to push on. But that's where we are, the State of the Union. Submit your ballot today. What is that about? Well, there's a paper on your desk there that is about the steering committee. It's a nominating ballot for the steering committee. And because of some changeover, we decided to revise the bylaws and try to make sure that we had term limits on officers. And we really don't have any officers anymore because of the liability of payroll taxes. And so I just made a decision that we've got to not expose officers to payroll tax liabilities. And so right now what we have is a steering committee. We could evolve back to a board because you members could say, look, we want a board. We want people to control this organization and be really powerful and effective over you. And it's like, okay, that'd be fine, but you got to take payroll tax liability also. And I didn't feel that was fair. Okay, so that's how we changed that. But these are very important steering committee leadership positions. Okay, and let me just take a second to go down through them. I know Nancy Marr wanted a better description of what some of those positions were about. So everybody have that sheet? Oh, okay. If you don't, does anybody have extras? I'll tell you what, I probably could have it on the screen. You're going to find a copy. I'm not going to take very long because James is going to start raising signs to tell me to sit down here in a minute. So the point of it is there's several different committees, and each of these are very important. Even a small event like this takes an awful lot of work. If we're going to grow this organization to what my vision is for it, which is in the next 3 years, we go from 300 members to 1,000, that means we're going to have to get some very active people involved. It's not going to be optional because I guarantee you, I can't work much beyond 14 hours a day. Okay? You guys are like that too, I'll bet. There's some in the room. You're slackers. You only work 14 hours a day. How about you, Mark? You work 16? Sometimes, whatever it takes. That's what we do. But the point is, it takes more. I don't care if I'm a genius or a complete dunce. It doesn't matter that we need more people to help. And then we have some hope of fulfilling it. Now, the Education Committee, we're going to talk about that in a second. But help us identify people with talent in the organization. Let your voice be heard, and then nominate the best person you know for the job. That could be you. Don't slough it off to your neighbor, your friend. It could be that you're called for the next 2 to 3 years to do something, and we're going to keep it real minimal. Okay, we're going to keep it to as small of a time as we can. All right? So examine that nomination form for 60 seconds, then start writing in some names. Nobody here is perfect. Okay? What is this IaREIA thing? I don't know if anybody have any question about that? If everybody that has a question about what the IaREIA is about, raise their hand. Okay, that's enough. We should talk about it for just a minute. IaREIA. There are many states across the country that have a primary REIA group, and we're all part of the National Real Estate Investors Association. REIA is Real Estate Investors Association. Okay? The National REIA has chapters all over the country. There's a couple hundred of them. And there's over, I think it's 200,000 members or so. Maybe it's 40,000 members. And we are a chapter, and Iowa Landlord Association has been grafted into this by virtue of the fact that Two Rivers REIA was a chapter. Now there's some benefits that flow to members of the National REIA group. Okay? And to understand why it exists, think of an elm tree. Okay? Elm tree. Education, legislation, and marketing. IaREIA is not going to replace Iowa Landlord Association, and it isn't going to replace Two Rivers REIA. Okay? What we're going to try to do, though, is what I conceptualized in my mind, what we're going to be able to do is we haven't had enough coordination in education, in legislation, and marketing. In fact, it's very seldom that the Landlords of Iowa and the Central Iowa Apartment Alliance get together and talk about much. Am I out of line in that statement? I think that's true. I haven't noticed much interaction at all. I personally think that's hurting us from a legislative point of view. I think it's hurting us from an education point of view. And I think it's hurting us with municipalities. Our power is disgusting. Considering how much investment power there is in this room, our ability to get stuff done at the municipality level, the state level, it just seems we just don't have a lot of power. And I think we can do better. But so for instance, I'm going to get together with the board from the Landlords of Iowa on the 20th of November, and anybody else that's interested in that, a stronger role in the legislative thing, we'd love to have you be part of that. Okay? And so I'm just going to say that education, legislation, and marketing are things that we can do together for those groups. So when we have an event, you'll usually see Two Rivers REIA and Iowa Landlord, that it's open to both parties. Okay? Is everybody all right with that? Does that seem okay? Because there's about a 20% overlap. How many of you in this room actually came to Iowa Landlord Association because through Two Rivers REIA? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 60 people here. That's 10% of the group. I think it may be a little higher than that, but 10-15% of the group, there's some overlap. Okay? So that's going to continue, and what we're going to do is try to maximize it when we can to help share expenses. So who is this national REIA, and why even be part of one? Benefits which flow through to members. Because they're huge, they can get things done with companies like Home Depot. And we have the Home Depot rebate program. Many of you can cost justify your membership in a fairly short period of time just from the rebates from Home Depot. Same thing, we have a Sherwin-Williams program. Rentals.com we really haven't gotten into much. I think we're going to venture into that a little bit more very soon. They also have an annual investors cruise. I personally think everybody in this room should go on a cruise at least once in your life. And if you haven't gone on one, this is a great one to go on, because you're going to hang out with people like you, who are my favorite people, by the way. Did you guys know that? You're all my favorite people. Yeah, there isn't anybody better. Real estate investors, aren't you the best people? Absolutely, absolutely. So it's fun to be on a cruise ship with all your friends and all expenses paid, and then they talk nothing but real estate investing the whole time. It's great, great stuff. Leadership training. 3 times per year, they're trying to make sure that the people that have accepted positions of responsibility, like James and like myself, and anybody else that's interested, they have excellent training programs. Rex, you were there at Seattle. What did you think? Did you think they had a pretty decent show? Don't put me... Okay, good, good. Okay, so then education is for a purpose, though, and I'm going to propose, and we're going to have the education committee take a little more active role, hopefully in the near future. I'm going to propose that we need something down here at the bottom, the Iowa Certified Professional Housing Program. But there's other national associations that already have designations. CAM. Is there any CAM members in here? CAM certified people? How about CPM people? Certified Property Manager people? Those are big high-level designations from huge national organizations. Well, National REIA has something that's called the National Professional Housing Provider Designation. It's not quite as tough as CAM, but it's still a serious venture. It takes 60 hours. They're always promoting it. They want our members to consider getting that designation. So like today, this weekend, you probably get 16, 20 hours towards that designation. So, but we don't really have anything within Iowa Landlord Association or within Two Rivers REIA for just Iowa that's focused on Iowa laws. So I'm going to be proposing this to the Education Committee that we need to get real serious about having a designation. David Sollenberger and I spent a little time on this. The basic core of it is 10 courses, 3 hours apiece for 30 hours, and then we may have 6 hours of electives. And what that would really do is make sure that people understand Iowa law, the little subtle nuances that are different for Iowa. Okay? So people who become accidental landlords, there's hardly any of you in the group, but some of them really need help. And we want to have something to provide that says, look, you can get educated here, take this track. When you get done, we're gonna have some, you're gonna feel comfortable about being with your tenants and the kind of nonsense they can do to you if you don't know your business. Okay? Next thing, communication with legislators. This is regarding the IaREIA part again. Why even have this? Well, because lobbying could be a little easier. One of the things that's happening in this society today, and it's been happening for a long time, is that the term landlord has a bit of a stigma associated with it. They get the wrong idea. Those aren't our members. Those are those other guys. But they always want to throw us all in the same group. Most of you folks are professional rental property management people. But they throw us in, and we're all in one big pot as far as they're concerned. You're just all slumlords. That makes it a tough battle. Whenever you introduce legislation, the first thing you got to do is explain, I'm not one of those guys. Okay? Uh-oh, that's my daughter. She gets online now and then, that little thing pops up. So the lobbying could be a little easier if we were to assume a name with a lobbyist and it's registered as Iowa Real Estate Investors Association. I don't know. The jury will be still out on that, but I'm thinking that makes a lot of sense. I'd like some input from others who are strong in this arena and to see, but I think we'll do a little better if it just says that instead of Iowa Landlord Association. Okay? Not quite the stigma. We've also had some new database design I want to just show you for a second, but we've added email address, we've added Senate district IDs, we've added House district IDs. Now we can find you and who represents you in a heartbeat. If we ever need you, the reason we have done all that is because down here, goal to enable calls to action. And we aren't going to bother you much with this, but when you get one in your email box and it says there's a bed bug bill that's up on a Senate subcommittee and we need your help because your representative seems to be on the wrong side, we want you to pay attention. Okay? It's only just a snippet of time, 10 minutes. But there's some very serious issues that come up on the Hill and they affect us, and sometimes it's very adversely. So we need your help on that, and that we're going to make it so that you aren't going to be bothered with a bunch of that stuff. It's just the stuff where we really need you. And how are we going to do that? Well, in the new design over here, and some of you have seen this from a previous presentation, but we can quickly get in and take a look at, we can pull it up and do an email blast to just our members or just that representative or just that senator. Let's see if I can minimize this for a second. So this is real-time live, okay? If I wanted to know who of our members is in District 21, Dennis Black, there's a listing. Okay? Now there's a little problem over here. 4 of our members don't have their email addresses. How effective are we going to be if we can't even get in touch with them? So if you're in the room and you don't have your email address up there, we probably want to fix that. I'm going kind of quick through that, but the point is we're trying to get to the point where we can quickly be responsive. And here's another report that's kind of an interesting one. Did I do that right? Startup page. Maybe it's not. This is an older version of it. Doggone it. That's what happens when you try to demonstrate technology. Here's another one, though, that we just added. This is our current membership list. And I want to ask you, the show of hands, how many of you like we have a vendor that wants to join. They want to become a vendor partner, and they want to know, can I get access to your membership list? How many of you in the room are in favor of sharing a membership list with other members, including the vendor partners? Okay, raise your hands high. We're at least 75%. Anybody in the room that doesn't want their name listed or shown to any other outside or other members I'm talking about? It seems to be okay with you? Okay. Where we're going to post that, though, is on the website. We're not going to bother printing it because it goes out of date so quick it's crazy. Okay? I mean, every week it's out of date. But that right now, this list is real-time, online real-time. So we have, what does it say there? If I look on the last page again. Yes, yeah, definitely. 5 minutes left. Uh-oh, I got to go quick. Okay, so that little bit of tidbit of information there is that we had, if you look on the last page, it tells us we have 308. I think that's what it says, 303. Okay? And so that gets updated all the time. There's some other stuff behind the scenes that, well, actually, I don't need to do that. That you don't really have to worry about, but you've seen it come across your desk. Did that wrong. It doesn't like that. But the invoicing. But here's one I like a lot. Invoicing has become simple. I'm going to stick with old snail mail invoices for a while yet. But you know, a lot of people have gone to those electronic invoices. You ever lose one of those things? I lose them all the time. Illustratus, our newsletter publisher, sends me a newsletter. I get a couple hundred emails a day. It's easy to lose an emailed invoice. Personally, I think it's kind of an insult. So we're not going to send you email invoices. Okay? That's a trivial thing, but at the same time, I think it's worth it for you to see printed paper that says, here's your renewal. And if you ever have any question on it, you know, do get hold of us. But the point is, we don't want to lose you in some email thing. Okay? But the big advantage that we have right now, because I can click a couple buttons, is I can tell you that we have 12,069 units that are under management by Iowa Landlord Association members. Okay? That changes all the time. Now, it's not 100% accurate, but it's about 98%. There's a few members that we don't have all their units listed. But when we're up on the hill and we're having a conversation with somebody, and they're wondering, well, why are you guys here? Well, we represent 12,069 units in the state of Iowa. Oh, okay. Well, then maybe you should be here. Maybe we should be listening to you. So, and I think you want to be able to say that with some authority, and we're going to give it to you. Okay? That's it. That's simple. But at least it's there and it's accurate.
Andrew, what percentage is that of that 12,000? What percentage of that is the total rental units in the state? Does anybody have any idea?
I got to look to a guy like Rick Krause on that. Well, take a guess a minute. There's 25% of the housing stock in the state is rental property. So I don't know, how many units do you think there are in Polk County? I'm going to say, Ron, we're going to have to get back to you on that. There's quite a few, but you know that, like, for instance, in Burlington area, you know approximately how many units.
We got 4,000 rental units, and our new association, less than a year old, represents about a third of them.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way. By the way, this is the Burlington contingent up here. Burlington. Oh, and Arthur's over here. And Ben is from Iowa City. When Ben joined, he was the first one from Iowa City in that district. Your responsibility is to get 8 or 9 more in the next 2 months. Yeah, yeah, congratulations, yeah. You got a big job. Once we have 10 in a particular district, we can really start to be effective with these people. When you have 1 or 2, not so much. But Ben, you're holding down the Iowa City contingency for us. All right, let's move on here. Where was I? Get rid of this database stuff.
That surprises me with all the rentals in Iowa City, that nobody else is part of the association.
Well, one of the things is for many, many years we were fairly central Iowa focused. Nothing wrong with that. But since we really need to work on the statewide representation, it just makes sense that we've got to branch out a little bit. Okay, so that's it. 0 minutes, and this is the end. Thank you, James, for letting me know. Anything else that you want to bring up? Bring it up to James. He's our interim president. I want you guys to take this serious, guys and gals. We really are looking for people to be nominated and take some responsibility. So consider that. And with that, we're on with our day. What are we doing?